Radiant team ban.
How much is that, President? Oh, $100 from y'all, right?
Greetings and salutations, Dodo fans. Welcome into our final match of the G-1 Western Qualifier, and a ticket to Shanghai is on the line. 5 tickets, in fact, for whichever team can prove their worth here in the late stages here in our lower bracket finals. Liquid taking on FNATIC. Now, of every team participating in the G1 Western Qualifier, none have had a story quite as unpredictable and schizophrenic as Liquid. Starting with a bye to round 2, Liquid was originally awaiting Absolute Legends, a team which was riding high after bouncing a down-and-out Evil Geniuses squad in their first-round matchup. Then we ran into DDoS issues. As G1 took time to cope with those problems, things changed in a hurry. EG began a major surge, which included a 2-0 win over Liquid, and found themselves set to meet their North American rivals following a surprising withdrawal from the tournament by AL, which in turn seeded EG into the next round after all. Just days later, EG would shock everyone by hanging their second 2-0 win on Liquid in 3 days, knocking TL down to the lower bracket. From there, Liquid utterly destroyed Kaipi, reminding everyone of just how good they are, and then reminding us all again by completely dismantling Na'Vi in the next round. A win made all the more impressive by the fact that Liquid's roster, both under the Team Liquid name and dating back to their time and complexity, had never beaten Na'Vi before. That win would propel them into the lower bracket semifinals, where they would once again meet Evil Geniuses, and only the bad side of the last 2 series, or on the bad side of the last 2 series, I should say, Team Liquid nonetheless seized control early and kept EG from pulling off the hat trick, reclaiming the North American bragging rights and putting them where they stand today, 1 win away from punching their ticket to Shanghai. Today they face an extremely strong FNATIC squad, but truth be told, if the past is any indication, Liquid isn't going to mind that too much. In their last 9 encounters, Liquid has managed to put 6 of the 9 in the win column, including their most recent meeting in the Premier League playoffs, where they gave FNATIC their exit. They'll be looking to improve their record to 7-10 here today, and if they can, they'll get to take their talents to China come the end of May. FNATIC in postseason play, well, honestly, FNATIC in postseason is like snow in January. Whether you prepare for it or not, it's going to happen. In the last 30 days alone, FNATIC has found themselves competing for the hardware in the Raid Call D2L, Raid Call EMS1, the Premier League 4, and Star Series 4. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that these guys know how to win and know how to execute under pressure. A team that I would label as quietly dominant. They're a team that so many recognize as being good that they're often victims of their own success when it comes to public perception. Despite nearly half of their games through April taking place in the upper echelons of play and including LAN appearances as well, they've still been able to put together a break-even record in what has been a very long period of postseason play on a day-in, day-out basis for FNATIC. They, like Liquid, were among the first teams to earn their passage to Seattle for the International 3. And when their play is put into perspective, it's easy to see why. Today, though, they face yet another big challenge with a lot on the line. 5 tickets to the G1 Live LAN Finals. Thank you guys, be it morning, evening, or afternoon, for joining us for the broadcast. I'm AC, and today, joined by LGD's own Brax for the broadcast. Brax, my friend, how are you?
I'm great, AC. Thanks for the intro.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Sorry, gotta get a little long-winded sometimes. The picks and the bans are coming now quick, but there really is a lot of interesting history between these two teams. The fact that FNATIC and Liquid, dominant teams in their own right, but Liquid has just kind of owned them in all of their past meetings. But we've already touched on that. I'll tell you what, since I took up so much time during the pick and the ban, why don't you go ahead and break down what you're seeing so far out of the pick ban on both sides?
All right, so FNATIC, their bans are pretty standard. Pretty much every team's going to ban these bans. They have a really fast push-oriented lineup so far with Bear and Chen, but it's not an all-in type of push. It's we can take some few towers and we can still go late game because we have Mag and Bear. It's just we want to secure an early advantage kind of thing, and then we'll play the game from there. But they still haven't revealed too much yet because they have their key heroes, but it's like their support heroes too. If they have support heroes that are going to sit in lanes and farm like a Rasta or something, then it's more of an all-in push kind of strat. But if they have some really useful moving heroes, heroes that are strong at level 2 and 3, they can really do a lot with this Chen.
Well, taking a look at Liquid's lineup, and I really like the way you put that, the fact that they are still a little bit veiled despite having obvious strengths and obvious, well, not so much weaknesses, but, you know, looking at their lanes. The way that FNATIC, you know, tends to like to run things is usually with 2 carries. They don't like to be all in on a Druid, for example. They will do that once in a while if they want to get a lineup. They can and will execute just in terms of pure team fight power. And when we look at Liquid, Liquid's already well within their wheelhouse, picking up the Nyx Assassin, the Darkseer, and the TA. As you had mentioned, FNATIC's lineup very well lends itself to a lot of early push. And looking at the supports they might want to pick up, what are you thinking? I mean, obviously with the Chen, it would seem to me that a defensive tri-lane obviously much more preferable for that hero as opposed to running it offensively. Usually if they want to do something creative like that, they'll just switch things up. But what support play do you think is going to fit in well for FNATIC?
I'm not too sure because it just depends what they want to aim for. They could aim for like a Rasta or Lion so there's something stronger for the late game. Or they can just pick something really strong in the game like a Lina. Or, you know, something along those lines. But I like Liquid's picks here because they already have, you can tell they have an idea behind their game plan. They have TA mid, Darks in the offlane, and support Nyx. So, they want to really take this late game. Well, not super late game, but they're confident with their lanes right now that they don't need to hide anything.
Right. Well, when you look at Liquid's lineup, you know, the only problem I can really see is they are a little pigeonholed, at least at the moment. They could offensively tri-lane with the Nyx if they want. Nyx, as good as he can be in that role, generally does tend to find himself as just a lane support and try to apply pressure coming out of movement, out of smoke. Darkseer tends to wind up in the woods or in the off lane, so no surprise there, and TA tends to lay claim to that mid role. We can actually see Liquid's the one banning out more carries, which is interesting, especially in the case of the Gyrocopter. That's a carry they really love to run. TC is excellent on that hero. And we can see, taking him out, taking the Alchemist out, that lends itself to what I was talking about with FNATIC. When you see FNATIC is a team that very much loves to run that 2-carry strat. They love to run split push. They love to try and take fights early. Not to say they can't go late, but it just doesn't fit into their wheelhouse quite as well as other heroes do. Or, as other strategies do. So, you can hear a little bit of noise in the background. Brax, just want to go ahead and explain that. Brax is broadcasting from, of course, his team digs in China, so you're going to hopefully hear not too much, but a little bit to give a little bit of flavor. But, you know, that's something I kind of want to talk about. For those who don't know who Brax is or are wondering, you want to know more about him, he's a guy who made his name playing Western Dota, now finds himself competing with the best in the world in China. So from that perspective, and, you know, obviously you can keep it as brief or as long as you want. I mean, when you look at TL and FNATIC, these are two teams, I'm sure you know a lot of these players, you know a lot of these guys, you played against them all. From where you sit, what's the big difference between Asian Dota and Western Dota at this point? I know that's a big question, half of a loaded question, but just in a couple of sentences, it's an ongoing debate. I would just like to hear it from you live on stream, and I'm sure the viewers would too. Where, you know, being where you are now, what's the biggest difference between the two geographic regions and their play styles?
My answer is going to sound really broad, but this is like the simplest way I can put it. There's a really big emphasis on banning structure. Like, you see here Team Liquid picked Nyx first pick over Magnus, and Chinese Dota, this hero Magnus is 10 times better than Nyx. It's valued higher, just in every situation possible, basically. It's just they have a different, I guess, their playstyle is more calculated. Everything is safe. Everything has some sort of structure to it. There's a game plan behind everything. It's not, you know, pick some 5 heroes that are good that they let us have. It's, we're going to pick this and this to protect this hero, or we want to do this at this minute mark once he gets this item. That kind of thing. And it's more of, there's just more practice. All these teams train super hard against each other every day. About 6 times a day. I mean, 6 times a week for probably at least 8 hours a day is standard here. So it's their job.
Well, let's go ahead and jump inside that mindset then. And, you know, obviously, I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but looking at the front 6, and we are about to see our fourth pick, it is going to be a Luna pickup from Liquid, and we've seen TC run that hero to great effect in a number of ways as well. I really like the Luna pickup for one big reason, and the FNATIC's lineup does seem to be predicated on a lot of early action, a lot of early push. They want to get the Druid and the Chen active, get the Druid a good start that let Magnus's ability to just take and initiate team fights comfortably at any stage of the game. Let that shine through. But with a Luna now, you have a hero that not only gives you late game potential, but is also going to give you the ability to fight pretty confidently. With the bonus you get from Lunar Blessing to all of the attack damage, especially on that TA, she's going to benefit from that in the early stages, and the power of Eclipse as well.
I'd also like to point out that, notice Liquid's last 3 bans. These guys do not want to fight 3-on-3 in a tri-lane at all. They have a support Nyx Assassin, so they're banning out all the greedy heroes that'll just lose by trading farm. Alchemist is one if you max his Goblin Greed. He can have, 5,000 gold at 8 minutes or whatever with every crit kill. And Gyro is just insane late game and good against TA. And they ban Lycan because they don't want to lose way too much without being able to defend their safe lane. They have 0 anti-push right now. They have no nukes to clear creeps against the Chen and Juggernaut now, which is really scary because every tower right now is almost free.
Yep.
For FNATIC.
5 seconds remaining.
Juggernaut, the fourth pickup for FNATIC, and we can see why. Again, coming back to the Druid, the Chen, very strong push. I really love the way a Magnus works with the Chen in particular. I mean, it's, when you look at the way that a lot of teams draft around the Magnus, you'll see many of them. By the way, Fluff going to be on Enchantress, one of his signature heroes, as they finish their 5 with that. But I really love Magnus's ability to work with the push lineup in that he gives you the ability to take fights under the enemy tower so much more confidently, especially if he's able to get up an early blink dagger. And as you said, with Juggernaut and all that he brings, not just in terms of damage, but more importantly, the healing ward, which just makes it so hard to push back any sort of push. And they're going to grab a Crystal as well. And one thing I have time to mention, with the intro to talking about your experiences in China and so forth, FNATIC is playing short-handed here today. They are going to be playing with the stand-in, as Fly is apparently having some unresolvable connection issues. So, looking at these 5 lineups here, Brax, go ahead and give me a rundown. What's your initial impression looking at these 5?
It looks like FNATIC, if they can make it through the laning stage, they'll have an unstoppable push. They'll group up as 5 heroes with Jen and just drop the healing ward and take free towers all day long. But Liquid have better lanes, and they're more flexible in their lanes. They have a Nyx Assassin to gank along with Enchantress, but FNATIC are smart. They picked CM afterwards, so if Enchantress is in their own woods, she can always come and Frostbite his creep, and Enchantress is going to be sad for a long time. But I don't know. It goes both ways. Like, on paper, one should beat the other, but it's never like that, so.
Right. Well, taking a look at the lineups, obviously, as you said, and I agree completely with your analysis, as I should, given you are quite the damn good Dota player. But, when I look at FNATIC's lineup, it's a team that has to get a lot of work done in between 15 and 25 minutes. A team composition that, you have the stability and the safety of having a lone Druid. He can take a game late. He's going to be up against a Luna and a TA, and Luna is good late, but still, as you said, on paper we can break down exactly how hard a hero carries, but it never tends to work that way. There's so much going on in between the towers in the meantime. But looking at just my initial impressions of the lineups, especially when you see a Crystal Maiden pick, CM does have a best buy date. She tends to be very, very strong early, then begin to fall up pretty sharply in the mid game. I would say that FNATIC's going to be very much under the gun to make things happen once they decide to start taking their initial tier 1 towers.
I actually feel like Liquid have to make more plays early than FNATIC because it's really hard for them to stop their push. They don't have any nukes to clear creeps or to pull them away. It's going to be Darkseer, Ion Shelling. Even if there has 5 at any tower, and they just meet together, they can't clear the creeps fast enough at all.
Right.
They have nothing to nuke down creep waves at all. It's a big problem.
Well, looking at the early lanes as they take shape, it is about as you would expect. Bulba going to be handling the Darkseer with Korok on the TA. He'll be going mid almost certainly in the tri-lane. And same story basically for FNATIC. Looks to be a very laid-back early game, at least initially. We may see some movement out of both junglers eventually. But early on in the lanes, who do you think is going to be which team's going to come out further ahead here, given it is going to be basically free farm on both sides?
Ooh, it depends on the junglers. If Nyx just sits bottom and levels up to 6 pulling, that could be really useful. But then again, ganking with the Enchantress early is, you want to abuse this hero as much as you can in the early game when she's super strong.
We can actually see Era is going to be taking the Juggernaut mid. And as we wait for the lanes to take shape, looks like Hani's actually in a bit of an aggressive position here, so I'm not going to run through the lineups quite yet. Nyx is going to spot him out, chase him away, at least chase him down to the low ground. And it looks like it is going to be an off-lane Magnus as we now see Jugger plus Crystal Maiden setting up shop here in mid. And this is kind of a flashback. This is a throwback to something we saw a lot of back in the days of the International, too. Used to see CM run a lot of duo mid at that point.
I want to see Fluff's timing when they decide to go for mid lane, because this is a lane that's always going to try to go on TA to keep her down. So it's really easy to bait out a fight. They can easily come from behind.
We can see a ward up on the high ground already from FNATIC, and to spot out any movement if Fluff does decide to move his way into the lane that way. But it looks like it's, well, Mike is giving the old end around to Hani. Hani has eaten his way at least partially through there. Now he's going to eat an impale. Here comes TC, going to follow it up with an auto attack and a Lucid Beam. Should be able to make it away, just not enough damage out of those two at the moment. So how about we see who's going to be handling who? As mentioned, TC going to be farming our Luna. TA going to be handled by Korok here in mid. Enchantress going to be played by Fluff. He's there on the easy side of the Radiant jungle right now. Bulba going to be playing on our Darkseer, going up against Trixie, and we're going to have Nyx handled by IX Mike on the other side. No Tail going to be jungling the Chen. Crystal Maiden going to be played by the last-minute stand-in known as Doomix. And he's going to be protecting Era here in mid. Speaking of Era, he'll be handling the Juggernaut. Lone Druid farmed by Trixie, as previously mentioned, and Hani trying to soak up whatever experience and get whatever kind of start he can on this Magnus. Now, to me, this feels like a bit of a big deal. I mean, obviously, it's a calculated risk that FNATIC is taking. But many, many times we've seen Mags really not do that well. Hold on. Korok is going to be able to make it away. Era using the Blade Fury, a little bit of damage done, but he does manage to get away. But how big a factor is it whenever a Magnus is prevented from getting some early levels and a good start towards Arc Boots and Blink Dagger?
He'll actually be okay. He catches up a lot faster than most people think. Once the momentum from the Chen starts going, he'll be okay.
Taking a look at the early CS, we can see Chen sitting at 17. Our Luna's at 16, Juggernaut at 14, 13 for Fluff, and I'm like you. I want to keep an eye on Fluff. I want to see whenever he decides to hit his mark and start getting active. Fluff isn't a guy who likes to play a very passive Enchantress, and this is something Enchantress. This is something he loves to do, by the way. He's one of the few people I see actually grab the Harpy Stormcaller and put it to work like this. So looking at the early lanes and the way they're going so far here, Brax, what stands out? Is there any one factor, any one element of this that you think is going to be problematic for either side?
The mid lane. TA is having a real hard time. He needs some sort of support from the Enchantress and Nyx.
Let's say you were shot calling right now for Liquid. What's your game plan? What are you going to try to do to get Korok back under control?
IX Mike gets level 3, and then they smoke ink around mid. And they go the long way all the way around so they don't get spotted, and they kill the CM.
So we've got, again, the two junglers push heavy on FNATIC, very punchy on the side of Liquid. And again, you know, just looking for your insight. I mean, as a caster, I could bounce around, I could talk about CS and all that. But when we look here, I mean, which of the two junglers is going to be the most high impact here early on? Is it going to be the Chen or the Enchantress?
It should be the Enchantress with more movement, because you can take more creeps, and you can... It's more of like a... You want to roam more, you know? Chen, you can level up, get some more creeps, and then you can push when you have 2 creeps at level 5, which is totally fine. It's a free tower every time. But, alright, well, they're grouping up here now. Nyx and Enchantress, so I think they're going to move. Yeah, there we go, there's a smoke.
Gotta see him smoke up.
Mid lane.
Coming out of the jungle, there's an invis rune right around the corner as well. That's going to make things quite a bit easier, as Mike does. They're actually going to go ahead and go on Hani. So giving Magnus an extra little bit of attention now. And again, Mike, under cover of invis, is going to be able to get the perfect engagement off so long as he doesn't get too close to the tower. And here we go. Hani is going to be cleaned up immediately. Easiest first blood you've ever seen as Mike puts it on the board quite easily. In the meantime, we're going to have an engagement here on mid. Korok eating a lot of damage. Down goes the Sentry War, but Jugger going to drop before they can clean him up. And Doomix, woohoo, barely able to get away as No Tail uses the Stater to clean things up. In the meantime, Liquid has taken down the tier 1 bottom. We'll see if they decide to push through here. So our first blood's on the board, and we see Liquid take a lead 2-1. No Tail, though, now beginning to apply some pressure to mid.
Oh, that was perfect, actually. The timing was excellent. They had 2 creepers coming in for the mag bottom, and they got a free tower in the first blood, too. It's good.
So the way things are going right now, again, I mean, we talked a lot about it during the draft. We talked about how important it was going to be in for FNATIC to execute and Liquid needing to make plays to stem this tide. Is there any one side that you feel like is actually going to be coming out ahead here so far?
So far, no. But there is a slight advantage just because of the first blood.
Right.
Mid lane, Korok is doing much better now. He's got levels. But once they group up, man, with the healing ward, it's just an unstoppable push.
No Tail's making good progress towards a mech, and that's going to be obviously a very, very important item. Korok struggling here in mid, I feel like, is really a big liability, given how hard FNATIC is going to be wanting to push. Again, the big problem they have, though, and well, I mean, we can always talk about the strengths of Liquid's lineups, but the fact that they are playing short-handed, and that's always going to be an issue. But so far, you know, when you look at the way that they decided to run this laning phase, putting so much attention mid lane, holding Korok down. You know, that's really the anchor hero for the most part. Luna can contribute quite a bit, and talked about that during the draft. But being able to keep the TA from any sort of real development, keeping her items down, you know, making life hard on her, gonna just make it that much easier to fight earlier in the game. We can see TC continues to just grab his free farm. He's got 42 last hits so far. But, you know, at what mark do you think, you know, what's going to be the marker here for Fnatic? When are they going to really start to group and push more? Mm-hmm. Let's put you in the shot caller's share once again. If you're calling the shots for Fnatic, what's your game plan for the next 2 minutes? And we're going to see some more attention being given to mid now. No-Tail going to be moving out from smoke. The Ursa should be spotted. There's the Nova to slow Korok down. Side Trap going to slow them down in turn, but hang on. The Dark Troll Summoner is in position. Thought he might have moved back out to try and re-engage on Fnatic, but not going to be the case so far. They're just continuing. Liquid's continuing to play this very, very passive. Do you feel like that's the right call, or is that a mistake? We're going to... And yeah, that's almost a full mech that just arrived on No-Tail. He's got a buckler and a headdress now. And Fnatic taking the mid tier 1. In the meantime, though, Mike sucking up some experience. He's going to be level 6 before long. And a quick 6 on a Nyx Assassin, very, very important for her. Obviously, a lot of reasons. But, okay, now at this point, Fnatic's already decided to get back on the map. We saw Liquid get a bit of a lead in that exchange we had earlier. Is this, you know, does Fnatic feel comfortable falling back to farm at this point, or is it, oh, hang on, we're going to see a skewer on the mic, and they may try to engage him. Yep, there's the Frostbite. Carapace does some damage. He's going to try to TP away and will make it home. But, Exactly. So, but we already saw Fnatic show a little bit of aggression here. Is this, you know, now they seem to be falling back to farm. Is this something you think's the right call?
Oh no.
Yep. Right now, Bulba getting work done. He's level 9. I honestly didn't even catch it. The Druid had ended up dropping. Fluff and Mike are both in position to gank if they decide to do so. Crystal Maiden's almost level 6. She's actually put 1 point in her aura. That's a good question. That's something I haven't had a chance to discuss in a long, long time. When it comes to the Crystal Maiden's aura, how do you feel? Many folks think 1 point's plenty. Some folks think even that's too much. Here's a smoke coming out from Fnatic. They're going to make their way through mid lane. Era, right at the lip. Yep, they're just going to go for it. And Korok obviously will know what's going on. He's going to back out. Take a look at the early CS, the one big win here that Liquid has had as much as anything else aside from leading 4-1 and getting a few kills that honestly they had no business getting. Up, hang on, we're going to have an engagement, and we're going to have Mike go under cover of Vendetta. No-Tail going to pop the mech, freshly completed. Hand of God gets it back up to fight as well. In the meantime, heard Omni Slash go off, but Fluff's there with the Nature's Attendants. Now Blade Fury going to try to pursue this out. Looks like he thought better of it as he does back out, and we're not done as TC continues to pursue. Doomix eating some damage and taking damage from the illusions. Now the Shockwave's there to try to ward him off. Side Trap buys some time, and here comes Fluff from the flanking position. The creeps are there to go ahead and clean things up. Another Impale going to catch Hani. Hani is going to eat the full entirety of the Eclipse. Now Era's going to be pursued back. Era caught with the Side Trap, has Blade Fury right now if he wants to use it, and he will, just to make sure that he can stay safe. In the meantime, though, Enchantress does get another kill. And now we're going to have Trixie re-engaged upon. Don't know what Trixie's plan was. All of Liquid was already there. And all of a sudden, a game that seemed at least marginally close is blown wide open, make it 8-1, favoring Team Liquid.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yep. All right, so tell me, my friend, I mean, what went wrong? Break it down for me.
Is under attack. Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's top tower is under attack. Dire's top tower has fallen.
What could FNATIC have done differently there? I mean, obviously, it's a little bit of bad positioning, but I mean, what more, other than, like you said, they're a little bit of scattered decision-making, what more could they have done to try to prevent a big catastrophe like that? Right. Yep, see you, No Tail. Sent back to the well. Here comes the Druid. The Panda gonna come in. Throw out a swipe or two, but with Surge there and no mana on Mike, so he's gonna hope he doesn't get rooted. Yep. What do you know? They guess just enough for the carapace, but it comes a bit too late, unfortunately. No way for FNATIC to pursue that out. But yeah, and then I'm pretty sure what you were just talking about, we just saw Liquid do to FNATIC. Just look for high priority targets, look for free kills, and try to free up the map that way. And TC has been doing great in farm. And when you compare TC's farm to that of the Druid, he's in excellent shape. He's going to be going with a drum tread straight up to the BKB build. And, I mean, at this point, you know, what can FNATIC do? I mean, they certainly still have all that push potential, but they are beginning to fall quite a bit behind. As we look at the goal graph, we can see they're almost 5 figures behind already. Well, explain that to us. Explain that to us. I mean, obviously, we can talk about the 5-man RPs, but, you know, why is it that MAG is so highly valued in the Asian scene, for example? Hang on, Wall's going to go down. 1 second. We're going to have Wall drop, vacuum right back into it. FNATIC trying to sneak themselves a Roshan, and Bulba going to be rooted down, but drum charges are popped, and Liquid looks like they want to pursue this. And they're a little spread out now. FNATIC spread on either side of the Roche pit. Liquid is going to move in right after their exit and look to take a Roshan now, and I honestly don't know what FNATIC can do. This is not well within their wheelhouse. I mean, when you're timing, obviously, MAG certainly helps. But at this point, Luna's just so far ahead. They're going to have to really catch a bunch with that RP, as you had mentioned. If they actually want to try and make this work, there's the Omni/Pop. TC will be rooted. We're going to see the mech use everyone. And the vacuums there. RP caught 4. Let's see if they can follow it up with damage. They end up getting a kill, but there's the Eclipse going off. Spread along the creeps of Chen, though. So a little bit of luck with the RNG there. Korok still up and fighting. Nyx has bought back, so Mike looking to get back into the fight. There's the side trap. Now the re-engagement. Bulba pursuing them down. Another side trap goes down. Trixie eating some damage from the ion shell. Bulba just trailing behind him. Now he's going to surge himself. TC's right there. Good vacuum, and he tries to block him on the steps. We're going to see the Blade Fury spin out of Era. In the meantime, a meld gives Korok yet another kill, and Era forced to pull back once again. And FNATIC just seeming to overstay their welcome. And wow, the Druid actually bought back there. So Trixie spending the gold to get back in it. Don't think it's going to matter as this Roche is about to drop. And the Aegis will go into the back pocket of Templar Assassin. Well, you say it's all or nothing. Again, explain that to me from a professional player's point of view. You're in FNATIC's shoes right here, my friend. Tell me what's going through your head and what you think you can do or have to do to try and make this, try and get this match back under control.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Right.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Right. And I would say that the gold tells us that as well. And, you know, this is, you know, hang on. We have to hold that thought as we may have No Tail picked off again. No may have too, and he will be sent back to the well. See you soon, brother. 14 to 2, I should say, as we approach 16 minutes in. This should be a tier 2. 12,000 experience, 12,000 gold going the way of Liquid. I mean, you know, it's obvious. It's easy to look back and talk about in retrospect, but at this point, this is a curbside beating right here. I mean, there's really only so much analysis you can offer when one team's this far ahead. So let's talk about what could have gone better. Where did things really break down? Was it in the draft, or is it just one thing led to another? And if so, what was the first major domino to fall? This is the most that's the most depressing thing I've ever seen. Bulba was chasing a lone druid, karate chopping him in the back, then vacuumed him into a wall to kill him. That's seriously the saddest death I've ever seen a lone druid take. I'm sorry, go ahead. That was so pitiful. Love his heart. Go ahead.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Right.
I should thank you.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Right.
Dire's top tower is under. Dire's top tower has fallen.
Getting a little bit of lag. It looks like that's unfortunate.
Dire's bottom tower has been denied.
I can't tell if that's just on my end.
Unstoppable.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Nature attend us.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen. Radiant